Hey guys, and we're back again. Tonight I am here with four of our Painters Clubhouse members. And so this is kind of going to be a little bit of a simulation or a little different or a little similar, I guess is what I'm trying to say, as the way it is when we have a Zoom paint party inside the Painters Clubhouse. So once a month, what we do is we come together and somebody from the group leads a Zoom call, and anybody can join in. You can keep your camera off if you want to, but it's just a chance to sit around and craft and paint and talk to other members. And so that's just what we're going to do tonight. Everybody's kind of working on a project. I've got to get my desk cleaned up and finish this door hanger before I can start on anything else. But I'm looking forward to chatting with all these ladies. So let's go in through and introduce ourselves. Lisa, will you start us off? Can you hear me, Lisa?
Yeah, I can hear it barely.
Oh, I said go ahead and introduce yourself, Lisa.
Okay. I'm Lisa Cato. I started in the Painters Clubhouse about a year ago. I first did the spring workshop, the Happy Flowers, and I just wanted to do more of the painting, and I really enjoyed it. I was kind of going through a hard time. I had back in January, I had a wreck, and so I don't know. I was just going through some difficult times, and I don't know. It seemed like the painting just helped me get through it. So yeah, and I've been painting ever since, and then selling my door hangers and everything. So it's been really good. Been really good therapy.
Do you have a business name?
Crafty Door Creations.
Okay, Crafty Door Creations. I like it. And where did you say you were located?
What's that?
Did you say where you were located?
Yeah, Gainesville, Texas.
Okay. And let's do Miss Sandy next. Will you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Sandy McQuarter. I live in Mobile, Alabama, so right along the Gulf Coast. And I have been in Painters Clubhouse for just a little over 2.5 years, be 3 years this coming fall. And I stumbled across Tamara on Facebook probably about this time 3 years ago. And it was just kind of crazy. I remember the look on my husband's face when I walked in and said, "Can I buy a jigsaw?" And for the person who has never touched a piece of heavy equipment in my life or any type of carpentry tools, he just kind of stared blankly at me like, "What?"
That is so funny.
That is funny.
And what is your business name, Sandy? Because you've started a business too, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I actually started mine as a hobby roughly I guess about 4 years ago. I started out with quilting stuff, and so I started with Quilted Treasures, and then I added and more. So it's now Quilted Treasures and more.
Awesome. All right, Lauren, let's do you next. Lauren Martin.
Hello, my name's Lauren Martin. I am in Central Kentucky. I have been following Southern Knit Ornaments since the very beginning, but I've only been a member of the clubhouse since last time. But it's been great for me just to kind of get that breakaway from mom life and the craziness that we live in.
And it's an added bonus that you and I have kind of like been able to reconnect even more. I mean, we never quit being friends, but it was really hard for us to like share our love of crafting across the distance. We live about 2.5 hours apart, but we used to live like 10 minutes down the road from one another. I mean, we were together almost every weekend creating and crafting together. And then she had to move and we've been missing each other. So last spring when she joined the clubhouse, I just saw it as an added benefit for her. I wasn't even thinking about how much it would benefit me to have her back in my life in a crafty way. And so it gives us more of a reason to talk on a regular basis besides just being like, so how are the kids?
Exactly. And I was thinking back today, because you were talking about the boys, like with Christy earlier when you did that live with her, and Brett was a baby.
Yeah.
Like a baby. Like he was a baby when we met.
Yeah.
But it's been great because this is what we used to do a lot of times on the weekends because our husbands were working.
Yeah, our husbands were always out on the road. They were part of Kentucky State Police at the time, and her husband's still with the state police, but mine's not. But yeah, they were always busy and working. So this was the way that we filled our time, crafting and painting together.
Yes, it was.
All right, Miss Marie Mosley, tell us about yourself.
My name's Marie. I'm from Tennessee. I'm like halfway in between Nashville and Knoxville. It's an hour either way to get to either one of them. I've been a crafty person all my life. Like I was lucky to grow up with a mom that anytime I wanted to try anything, she's like, sure, go ahead. Because she was a single parent. So anything to keep me occupied, she's like, have all the things. Like I remember being 4 or 5 when she was cooking in the kitchen, she had contact paper on the cabinets and it was chalkboard. So I could sit there with my chalk and draw on the cabinets while she cooked.
What a good idea.
Yeah, I thought it, that's pretty neat. And I tried to find it when my kids were younger and I couldn't find it again. But growing up, going through school and stuff like that, you would have people that tell you art's not a career.
Yeah.
You need to find something tangible to do with your life, something that has, I don't want to say meaning, like art doesn't have meaning, but talking to guidance counselors and stuff like that, they're like, you need to find a career and all of these things. So I kind of lost myself trying to chase the medical career and things like that. I am an EMT. I do teach CPR a lot. And I was at my grandma's house helping her do Christmas gifts, and she wanted to make a really fancy bow. So I Googled how to make bows on YouTube, and Tamara Bennett pops up on my
And I hate
screen.
making bows. How is that how everybody finds me?
I don't know. It was so funny. And then you were in your kitchen and your phone fell like 3 times during this live. And I was like, I like this woman. She's relatable. Right. So then I got scrolling through your feed and I found door hangers and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, because I was always a canvas person. And then I got to where canvases were intimidating because I felt stuck trying to come up with things, especially having kids. And if I wanted to do like a 5-minute sit down and paint thing, I would sit down and stare at a canvas for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But having door hangers and templates and it's there for you, it was so much easier to step back into creating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's less intimidating than staring at a blank canvas because it's like you've at least got a jumping off point. And for me, canvases, in my mind, I had a hard time painting canvases in a way that was whimsical. In my mind, canvas always had to be more like fine art and it had to look realistic. And that's just a mindset block of my own. Like for some reason, that's what I thought of growing up when I saw a canvas painting. And so taking it off the canvas and putting it on wood made it fun art again. It made it like there was no pressure. I could just create it and make it whimsical, and it didn't have to look realistic or any certain way because it was already sort of shaped like a cartoon of something,
Yeah, and I feel like that has launched me into becoming more of a creative person. Like canvases don't intimidate me anymore, and I'm able to do so many more things just by getting comfortable with it again.
Yeah, it removed that barrier. I really related heavily to something you said a few minutes ago about, growing up, we weren't encouraged to be artists. Anytime we heard the word artist, we heard starving right next to it, starving artist. And so artists were never seen as something attainable. It was always seen as like, well, you're going to struggle if you choose this path and you're not going to be able to make any money. And so I kind of have this feeling like I want to talk to kids now at high schools or whatever and be like, look, you can totally make a business doing something you're passionate about, even if nobody else thinks it matters, I don't know. I haven't found the time or even reached out to even talk to anybody about that, but I've thought about it before. It would be nice to go and speak to art classes and kind of show them the possibilities, I guess, just get them thinking outside the box. That way they don't end up going down a medical career that they're not passionate about because it seems like a stable choice. I mean, were you passionate about the medical career thing or?
I do like medicine and stuff like that. I don't like people.
You want to make them well, you just don't want to talk to them.
Right, which is I think is what got me into the EMS part. Like, I
Yeah.
love people, don't get me wrong. It's just like long-term care wasn't appealing to me, but short-term care was. I like the
Yeah.
emergency, the excitement, it's something new every day. But when I had my kids, I would have made less than how much it took to put them into daycare.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
So that's when I started selling door hangers and hosting paint parties. And I don't know if you remember, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, y'all put out a poll that says, what's your goal for 5 years?
Yeah.
My goal was, I wanted my husband home. He was an over-the-road truck driver.
Yeah.
And y'all, he came home last year.
Oh, you accomplished it. How many years did it take?
About 1.5 years.
Wow, that's way faster than 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I bet it's so good
That's
having
amazing.
him home.
Yes. So I worry so much less about him because he could have been in Texas. He could have been in Florida. He could have been in Ohio during the snowstorms. And now he's running local grocery routes. So he'll be in Nashville or he'll be in Knoxville delivering to schools and restaurants.
And so that was made possible by the extra income you've been able to make with painting. Is that what you're saying? Or is it also, I mean, because didn't you open up like an EMS training facility or something?
I do CPR classes. So in a conjunction with both, it's helped.
Yeah.
So I would say the paint parties and selling door hangers, I've done craft fairs, probably make up 1/3 of my income.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I'm checking up in the comments. So there was a little bit of confusion. I think I had accidentally called this a Zoom paint party earlier in the week when I was talking about it. So I think a couple of people thought that this was a Zoom they could hop on. No, this is just us all chatting together. These are these ladies volunteered to be here, and so it's just going to be us tonight. And this is not like a Zoom call you can jump in and get in, but we will be doing one of those in April. We've already got it on the April calendar, so watch for that information. Is next week April? Next week? One more week? We got one more full week of March. My
Yes.
brain cannot keep up with what day of the week it even is. It doesn't feel like Friday to me. So it'll be coming out soon. Okay, what's everybody painting? What are y'all working on?
I am working on the lemon.
I'm painting a tractor.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yes, I can. That's cute. And then Sandy is painting the lemon welcome door hanger.
Yes, the lemon welcome.
Is that an order for somebody?
No,
No, actually, this one I've been wanting to do for a while.
Okay. Is this one just for you, Lisa?
I'm just painting it just because, and if somebody wants it, then it's fine.
Yeah. I do that. Used to do that sometimes too. I don't do that much anymore, but I used to do that a lot just because I wanted to paint one or just, needed something to keep my hands busy. And then if it sold, that was great. Lauren, what are you working on?
I have a baby shower tomorrow.
Oh yeah, baby shower door hanger. So will
So
this have flowers on it? What kind of baby is this? Is this a flower baby or not?
This is not.
That was
This
a weird
is
question.
a jungle theme.
Okay.
I'm trying to match the nursery.
Okay.
So
So we got what, monkeys and giraffes and elephants and things?
I have a zebra, a giraffe, an elephant, and like a tiger cub or like a lion cub.
Okay. I'm curious to see how this turns out.
And it's going to be like on a frame, like it's a sign rectangle.
Okay. What are you working on, Marie?
I'm working on a silhouette portrait ornament.
Ooh. Marie did a training in our Painters Clubhouse. It was probably a year or two ago now where you taught how to do those family portraits on wood slice ornaments. You like take a photograph of a family, and didn't you like create it in Procreate? Remind me what the process was.
Yeah, and that's actually what I'm doing now, but you take the picture and you measure what you're going to put it on, and you can make your canvas size that in Procreate, upload your photo, And then you drop the opacity of your photo so it's lighter, add another layer, and then you just trace out the major shapes and characteristics of the person. And it's really great for people who are afraid to do faces.
Yeah, me.
So like if your person has glasses, you can make sure you add those in. And then I found that you can print directly from Procreate if you print it as a PDF, I think, and it'll print true to size. Or certain printers, when you send it to the printer app, you can hit transform and then print it in true to size, and it'll print it out in the size that you need.
Okay, that's cool.
And then use your graphite paper to
randomly felt
transfer it to your ornament.
And it's a mosquito bite.
You got a mosquito bite?
I told Dad about this.
Charlie's got a leak in the ceiling of her bedroom.
Yeah,
Yay!
Dad knows.
Oh no.
She put a bowl under it, she said.
Dad knows that, so.
Yeah. It doesn't
She's
surprise me.
proactive.
Get a lot of rain.
It's
That
never
side of the
happened.
house leaks.
It's never
It has
happened.
before, but it's been a long time.
Oh, can I have some?
I feel her pain. I have a leak in the ceiling of my classroom.
Oh no. It has rained nonstop today, all day long. So we've got like flooding going on everywhere. Okay, Melinda says, I'm painting my third church of the day. Melinda, which church are you painting? Is it the one that says, Then Sings My Soul? Or there's different ones, I think. Jessica says, what is the lady painting in the corner with the purple shirt? Oh, that's Sandy. I forgot to put everybody's names on here. That is Sandy. She is painting the lemon welcome design. That was a workshop we did like 3 years ago.
I think that was the workshop you did just before I found you.
Okay, so you missed out on it. You're backtracking.
I missed out on the workshop, so I'm finally getting to backtrack and get this one done.
Yeah. Nancy says, I can't see all the comments. That may be because we're live in more than one location, Nancy. I think we're streaming this inside the Painters Clubhouse and also the Lola Facebook group. So if I reply to somebody's comment that you don't see, it's because they're in a different group than you. I am using StreamYard, Mindy. If y'all have any questions for these ladies, these are some seasoned painters. These ladies have been painting with me for a year or more, some of them 3 years or more. And so all of them, I think every single one of these ladies has like a door hanger business of some sort. So we can talk about craft fairs, paint parties, selling door hangers, painting techniques, whatever is on your mind. Feel free to ask your questions. This will be like a fun little panel. Lauren, a lot of people are really excited that you're going to be teaching the composition notebook design next month in the clubhouse. I've been hyping up your technique too, so.
I'm super excited, and I've been trying to figure out how you did it.
I'm keeping it a mystery. I think that it heightens the suspense.
It does heighten the suspense. Hopefully I live up to it.
Okay. Elizabeth asks, how do you get started doing craft fairs? Raise your hand if you do craft fairs. Okay. Me and Lauren are the only ones with our hands down. So let's start with Lisa. What advice do you have about getting started with craft fairs?
Just look in your local community, check to see, who to get in contact with. A lot of times it's schools. There is a thing online called I can't remember. We have around here in Texas, we have a thing called DFW Craft Fair of something like that. I don't know. You can go online and search craft fairs in your state.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times you can get some of these. Sometimes you have to pay a membership if you want to get more details But you might just check with your local community. That might help. One craft fair that I actually was doing for a long time, it was somebody that I talked to at school. And they said, hey, I do this craft fair all the time, and I know so-and-so. And so that's how I got into it.
Okay. And do you, how do you plan for the inventory that you take to a craft fair?
I just try to make as much as I can, because they say just, bring as much as you can to it, it's better to have more than not enough.
Yeah. Sandy, do you have anything you want to add to that? Or how did any difference in how you got started with it?
I started looking around on Facebook, and a lot of times the events will pop up, but I also have some friends and actually a couple of cousins who do some things at craft fairs as well. So they were constantly sending me links. Matter of fact, they still send me links to different things going on. And I'm like, I can't do them all. So you will quickly find that it's kind of like opening up a fire hydrant. And you might find out about one, and then you discover, oh my gosh, there's like 7 next weekend, and you can't go to all of them, but you have to watch for the different fees. I try to check out the fees before I sign up for one, and just laying out what you want to take is one of the biggest things, because I know when I first started with craft fairs, I had somebody tell me, don't go with any less than 30 if it's considered a small craft fair. If it's a larger craft fair, then you want to make sure you've got 100 plus.
Oh, wow. I've heard that once you go to one, it's kind of like it opens the floodgates, and you talk to the other people at the craft fairs and find out about so many more. So that makes a lot of sense. Yes,
you can make connections and then, connect over Facebook. Facebook is unreal as far as opening that door to what you can find in your area. So if you just search events on Facebook for your local area, you'll find, especially this time of year and the fall. Now, summertime and winter, not so much, but spring and fall, you can find untold numbers, within so many miles of where you are. I know with me being on the Gulf Coast, there's a lot within Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, because I'm kind of right here between the three. But, some areas that are further out, you may have to travel a little bit. So,
yeah.
But Facebook is really good for finding those.
Jessica says, do you need a tax ID to sell at craft fairs?
Not all of them.
Here.
I would say just to cover your butt, if you start doing very many of them, you probably need to. But I would be willing to bet that a lot of craft fairs don't require it, but it also may just depend on the area. Like where Lisa's at, with so many craft fairs going on, the people putting them on are probably trying to make sure they cover themselves by making sure everybody there is a legit business. All right, Marie, what craft fair wisdom do you have to impart to us? You've been doing several of them, and you said it's 1/3 of your income.
You want to scope out if there's anything else going on during that craft fair. I had one friend that set up in Nashville, and it was the same weekend as like a country music thing. So she only had like 2 sales.
Oh.
So always check all the events that are happening. Another big thing is check out participation size. You can always look at the previous year to see how many people attended the event. And that will help you estimate about how much you need to take. I was always told 10% of the attendees is how much inventory you need to take.
Okay.
At least.
Awesome. And if any of you guys are interested in learning more about craft fairs in particular, I do know a couple of people who, or at least one person who kind of like coaches people, I guess, or I think she's at least got a lot of knowledge that she's even put out like an ebook with craft fair tips. And that is Tammy Hodges from Polka Dot Wreath Co. Way back when I used to have a business coaching group, which was a long while ago, she actually did a training for us. And I was blown away at how much she knew about craft fairs. So if you need somebody to learn from about that, Tammy Hodges is your gal. Okay, we've got so many comments and questions pouring in now. So let me just go down the line here. Okay, B said, is that class that Marie Mosley was talking about, tracing the portraits, available on demand? That sounds like we're like a Netflix or something, but we do kind of call ourselves the Netflix of door hangers. In the Painters Clubhouse, yes, that video is on demand. You can go and watch it right now if you join tonight. So
I think it's called Family Portraits.
okay. Okay, Brooke Fleming says, I'm new to painting and interested in hosting paint parties. What is a ballpark price that you would charge? I don't want to overcharge, but I want it to be worth it for my time as well. Okay, Brooke, I started out doing paint parties like 8 years ago, and way back then, I was only charging $25 a head. Stuff is way more expensive now than it was then. And the last paint party I had was in 2019. Back then, I was charging $35 a person. If I were to have a party now, I would charge $45 a person. That's how much inflation has gone up and how much more my time is worth now than it was then. You know, back then it was my primary source of income. Now it would just be a secondary compared to all the other things that I do. And so you kind of have to take all those things into account. But let's just kind of go around the table. For those of you doing paint parties, tell us what you charge at your paint parties, like and maybe what your minimum guest count is. Mine used to be like 10, but now it's definitely more than that. Hey, Lisa, start with you.
I charge 35, but I usually have a coupon that's $5 off for the first couple of weeks. And then I usually like to have a minimum of 8, but really I'll paint. I mean, if like less than 8 shows up, I'll go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm.
I've only done 2 so far, so I'm just kind of beginning.
And that's about where I was at when I had first started, and I only had like 2 parties. I think actually 5 was my first 2 or 3 parties. 5 was my minimum. I was happy to have a group of 5. And then after that, it was like, okay, 8 now. And eventually I worked my way up to 10. And now I would probably say like 20 people. But you kind of have to take into account what your time is worth and how busy your schedule is too. Like back when I was doing these, I also had kids at home all the time. So if I was going to be away teaching a paint party, I had to make sure I had childcare. And so I couldn't just go and do a party for 4 people if that wasn't going to be enough to, offset the cost of paying somebody to babysit my kids. Thank goodness now my oldest is old enough to babysit, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. But I know that is a problem for a lot of people. All right, Sandy, do you do paint parties?
I do. I started out with 25. I've always had 10 as my minimum. I have had several parties that run around 15, and I did have one party that was kind of crazy. It was a church group, and we actually ended up with 28 ladies at that party.
Those are so awesome.
It was so much fun. But you were talking in the live earlier about, you get to the end of the night and you come home and you're just like, oh. You sit down on the couch, and there were nights when my daughter is old enough where she can help me. So she's always my assistant. She handles the water and things like that. And so we would come home and she'd be like, Mama, can we leave the stuff in the van tonight? I'd be like, yes, baby, we're just going to go in and crash on the couch and watch a movie. Because you're hyped up afterwards, and it's kind of hard just to go to bed because all the fun. But at the same time, you're just like, I'm ready to sit down. But I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And I have raised prices, but I do have it set up where, and this seems to work well for me. I have it set up to where if the hostess will get 10 people, then I allow them to paint for free.
Okay.
So it kind of drives them to reach that 10 point. So I did that from the beginning to try to make sure that I had roughly 10 people at each party.
And Lauren, you've done a few paint parties. You want to share what you've been doing?
I have done a few. I try to stick around $35 a person, depending on what the cut design looks like. And I do the same. I tried the same thing as Sandy with if the hostess can get 10 people, then they can paint for free. I'm trying to get the numbers up. And I've done some like just at my house too, trying to get some interest and stuff, but this isn't my full-time job. And I'm like you know, my kids are still at home and I have to think about like a babysitter and stuff like that. So I just push it enough to give me some extra spending money and keep up with my wood supply for what I do inside Painters Clubhouse.
Got to be able to keep supplying your own habit, right?
Yeah.
All right, Marie, you do paint parties too, right?
I do. And I'm pretty much at $35 too. It depends on the design. If it's something intricately cut, like the love designs that you have, where I have to cut in between the B's and stuff like that, then we're looking at like 45.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of time. And then I kind of upsell people to try to get them to sign up. I'm like, if you sign up before this day, then you get a free bow, right? I'll make it. It'll be this cute. I said, but after this day, it's $5 if you want a bow.
Yeah.
$5 more. I've done like custom. If you order before this day, I have a cousin that does vinyl stuff. I'm like, I can get your name in vinyl. If you sign up before this day, it's free. If you sign up after this day, it's a 5 to whatever upcharge. It just depends on what it is. And that seems to get people to sign up.
I like that. I've never heard of anybody doing that before. That's really smart. You're giving people a reason not to wait to the last minute. And I don't know what it is with people these days, but it's been a problem for at least the last 5 to 10 years. People do not like to RSVP to anything, kids' birthday parties or anything. And they don't like to put stuff in their calendar that requires them to fully commit to something. So if you guys, anybody watching right now in the comments, if you decide to step out on this paint parting thing and try it, you're going to have to take people's money up front. That's my first piece of advice, because people will back out on you and you will be left holding all the supplies. And you're going to have a strict policy. Like cancel day of or something, no refunds. Or if you can, have a policy. That way it's on them and they know ahead of time what is expected, because it's so frustrating. I've been to a party. One of my worst ones was I expected 17 people and I drove almost an hour to get to this place and only had 7 out of 17 show up. You talk about disappointed, because that was the difference in here. Let me do some math real quick. It was going to be $35 a person. So I was expecting to make $595. Instead, I made $245. And I had driven an hour to get there. After that, I said, I'm done. I'm no longer letting people sign up without paying in advance. And that was the kicker.
I have it set up where 2 weeks before the event, I require all money in. So that way, what I do is I take that money, I buy all the supplies. I do not actually spend money out of my account for the supplies. The paint party pays for itself.
There you go. That's smart. Very smart.
And if they cannot attend, there's no refunds. Once I've cut the wood, that's it. It's yours. Mm-hmm. I will gladly send it. I will leave it with the hostess is what it amounts to. I leave it with the hostess, and it's their responsibility to get with the hostess to get their piece. Now I will put paint, for them in little packets and drop it back off to the hostess if they like. But I mean, a lot of people who come to the paint parties already have some paint and brushes at home. And so it's not always, something that they're interested in, but I have offered that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go into these questions a little bit out of order, because this kind of goes a little bit with what Sandy was just saying. She said, where do you all get your supplies for like paint parties? I'm guessing is what she's asking. So do you have any tips on best places to get paint or ribbon or whatever it is you need for paint parties? Who wants to go first?
I like Hobby Lobby.
Yep, that was always my go-to.
Mine's between Hobby Lobby and Walmart.
Sam says great ribbon.
Paint at Hobby Lobby because it's always 99 cents now, and that's cheaper than Michael's.
Oh, so is it permanently like a different price? I didn't know that. I haven't been to Hobby Lobby forever. I'm jonesing bad. I haven't been in a good long while. It's probably been 3 months since I've stepped in a Hobby Lobby. I'm like, it's got to be a requirement or something, because I need it. I haven't been.
Well, and you have to drive to yours. Mine's
it's about 40 minutes away, and I just haven't had any extra time lately to go shop or like just go for I just need to make it a day for it and schedule it.
And I buy most of my ribbon at Sam's when they release it because you get 50 yards of it for like $7.
Amen. They just put out their spring ribbon about 3 weeks ago or so. So it may be all gone now, but
Yeah,
if
mine
you
didn't
want,
have any this weekend.
that's another perk to being in the clubhouse is they will be the first to let you know when something's on clearance or there's a sale or Sam's Club drops the ribbon. Somebody will post about it in the group. Everybody will know.
Oh Lord, when Hobby Lobby did their orange sticker sale, I think I saw 50 posts in like 30 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, I did too. Everybody was like showing off their Hobby Lobby hauls. We should have just made a header post and everybody put their comment of this is what they bought.
I got some good deals.
Well, share with us. What'd you get?
Like I don't buy a lot of metallic paint because it's usually super expensive. But like the Deco Art metallics,
Yes, I love that stuff.
$2.24.
Score.
And then I've never used this before, but I couldn't pass up on the price. It's Treasure Gold from Folk Art. It's supposed to be $14.99.
Yeah.
It was $2.49.
Sweet. And it's gold?
It's Treasure Gold. I think it's got a gold luster in it, but it comes in all kinds of different colors. Like this one's green. I got like 8 different colors.
Oh, okay. I thought that one looked green, so I was like, is that gold?
Yeah, I guess it's their line. The Folk Art line is Treasure Gold for their metallics.
Are those neons, Lauren?
Yes.
Nice.
And they were $1.12 a bottle.
Wow, those are big bottles too. Those are the 8-ounce bottles.
Those are the 8-ounce bottles. So I shared with you the design that I'm like, we need to figure this out because I have neon paint now.
Yeah.
To figure this out.
So I've got a funny follow-up question to this. I think she's joking, but this is really funny. Rhonda wants to know, how do you sneak all your craft supplies past your husband's?
My husband went to Hobby Lobby by his work and picked up clearance paint for me. So I don't have to sneak it past him because he feeds my hobby.
Oh, he is so good to you. My husband brought me Reese's cups tonight and flowers, and everybody on the live was like, oh my goodness, that's so sweet, which he's not like that all the time. But during launch week, when I'm opening Painters Clubhouse and live every single night for almost 2 weeks, he knows that I need a little extra love. Rhonda, another tip about the paint supply thing is, well, this is a story that I've told more than once, but back when I used to do paint parties, Michael used to complain about having to, quote, babysit the kids. Every wife knows if they are your children, you're not the babysitter, you're the dad. Right. But if he was stuck at home with the kids, which he was not used to because he had been in the military and I was always the one home with him. But when I started doing paint parties, all of a sudden he was the one home with them. He didn't like that very much. And so, he kept hearing I was going to these parties, it sounded like I was going to have fun. And so I'm like, I got to prove to him that I'm not just going off to socialize and have fun. So what I did was when I get home, I would literally take out my money bag and count my money on the couch right in his line of sight so he could see the cash coming out of my hand. And I'm like, made $800 tonight or whatever it is. And eventually he shut up. He didn't say nothing else about having to stay with the kids because he's like, all right, it's legit. She is making money. Oh. Okay, I'm skimming the comments for another question. I kind of went out of order earlier and it's gotten me all discombobulated. Okay. Dan says, can you please tell me how I can improve my arts and crafts? I feel like the answer to that one is pretty simple. Practice makes perfect. That's the question. That's always the answer that people don't want to hear. There's no shortcut. The only thing that's close to a shortcut is probably joining a group like this where you have instant access to as many resources as possible. Anything you want to learn, any technique you want to improve on, we've got a video for it. And so, with a supportive community like the Painters Clubhouse, that's probably the best learning environment you could ask for. Okay, this is a different question. I don't know if I've ever heard this question before. Do y'all set a goal of how many boards to paint in a certain amount of time, like per week, or do all of your boards that you sell have bows? Oh, that's the second part of the question. So number one question was, how many boards do you paint in like a week? Do you have like a goal? And then the second part of the question is, do all of your door hangers have bows? So do y'all have a goal in mind or like a certain amount you normally paint?
I guess mine is just how many orders I have in a week.
Yeah. Lisa,
And
what
then
about
sometimes I get to do what, maybe one that I've been wanting to do.
yeah. Lisa, do you have a goal in mind that you try to paint a certain number in a week or?
Not really. I just find something that I want to paint and I just start painting. A lot of times it'll be according to what the seasons is, like fall or Christmas or whatever. And then I just paint.
Yeah. And for a lot of us, I think it just changes season to season. And if we have more orders, we're painting more and we're hustling to get them all done. And sometimes we're painting the same design over and over because it's a hot seller and we'll be so glad when we're done making those. We go through those kind of phases where, we don't want to look at another lemon welcome door hanger ever again if you like get a bunch of orders for them, at some point you need to up your price so you're not selling as many or something so you can move on to something else. But okay, this is what about the bow question? How many of you guys put bows on every single door hanger? Raise your hand now. Okay, do you
Sometimes
put bows
they're
on
just
some?
too busy.
Yeah, that's true. Some shapes look like they need a bow, like they've got a spot that like needs a little something, or if the door hanger doesn't have a lot of detail, sometimes a bow can really just bring it up a notch.
I've also gotten to where I don't put my bows directly on the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the bunny behind you, it's on the hanger. I can see it.
Hanger.
Yeah, especially if it's a busy door hanger. A lot of times that's probably the thing to do because a busy door hanger, you don't want to distract from it, and you don't want to cover up any of the hard work you've put into the details.
That's my biggest thing. I mean, so many of our designs it's a full, you're painting the whole thing. You're doing something over the whole door hanger. So you don't want to cover that up, but just kind of like a little something just to kind of finish it off. So putting them up on the hanger, it's out of the way, but it's still cute.
Yeah. Sandy, somebody is asking, they said, are your shiplap lines etched into the wood or did you like freehand them? She said, I like the way you did the black to highlight the lines.
This one is not etched. Now it is laser cut, but the lines, the shiplap was not etched. And so I just, I took a yardstick and laid it down and I flipped it over, I think a couple of times each direction and just drew a pencil line. And then I just come back with a very thin round brush and went over it with black and then just did the baby wipe technique where you smear it around and wipe it around and lighten it up or add to it.
Yeah, if you want to learn how to paint that lemon welcome door hanger, shoot our customer service an email and they can point you in the right direction for where to find that tutorial. It's an old workshop that you can purchase. I think it's like $10 or $15. I can't remember what it is now, but the baby wipe technique that I share in there is such a simple way to do those shiplap lines and it looks really authentic. Like if standing in distance, you would never realize that it's done with paint. It's kind of an illusion.
I've had so many people love this look. And so I enjoy doing it. I have a lot of fun with it, even though you're covered in black paint by the time you get through. But
that's so true.
I like doing it.
I do too. It's very satisfying. All right. I missed a couple of paint party questions in the middle of that conversation that we had earlier. Corey says, so did she say the hostess paints for free if they get 10 people? Isn't that what you said you do, Sandy?
Yes, I give them, and what it is I want them to have 10 people there because I mean, you don't want to go and set everything up and then your hostess be like, all my friends are coming and 3 people show up.
Yes.
And so you really want to encourage them along the way. And so I've always had the number 10. Now, if you have 10, do all 10 show up? No, not always. But I've had 10 people pay. And so for the hard work, I always reward the hostess by saying, look, you get 10 people in, you paint for free.
Mm-hmm. I used to do that too. And I saw where somebody asked, so if you're doing your paint party for $25 a person, does that include all the supplies? Back in 2015, when I started doing this business, yeah, at $25 a person, that included the paint, that included the brushes that I was bringing, that included the wood pieces that I was hand cutting with a jigsaw. Like I said, my price eventually went up to $35, and that's what I was doing back in 2019. But now if I were to do a party with the laser etched blanks like I've got and the higher quality paints that I would bring now, I would bring deco art now, whereas back then I was buying like Apple Barrel from Walmart and stuff like that. And just knowing what my time is worth to me now, I would be charging $45. But I pretty much brought everything except for the disposable items. So because my hostess always painted for free, I put her in charge of paper towels, cups for our water to rinse our brushes, paper plates to put the paint on, or foam paper plates, and plastic tablecloths. Because a lot of times if the hostess is the one setting up the party, she knows how many tables she has. I might only be expecting 2 long tables for a certain group, but she may have 4 tables set up and has everybody spread out. And if I'm the one bringing the tablecloths, that's going to be kind of confusing. I might not have enough tablecloths or something like that. And so I always put the hostess in charge of all that stuff that gets thrown away at the end of the party like that. And so she gets to paint for free. So that just kind of offsets my cost for that anyways. And it just makes it a little easier logistically, because for the most part, I didn't have to restock my paint party supplies between every single party. A lot of times I could just throw everything in the box and go to the next party. I might have to restock 1 or 2 colors like white or something like that if I was running out. But if I were to have to run out to the store and get all those consumable items again, get more paper towels and more cups and more plates, it was just more trips to the store and a lot of logistics. And oftentimes I was forgetting those things. So I kind of got to where the hostess had to bring that stuff. How do you make flyers? I think Jen is talking about for paint parties. Do y'all make flyers for paint parties? Okay. Marie, tell us a little bit about that.
I use Canva. Canva is awesome. It has preset templates, and it's customizable across social media platforms. So there is a flyer tab that you can click on. There's pre-made examples, so then you can replace their pictures and their words to get it to fit yours. If you're doing a Facebook event, or having your hostess set up a Facebook event, because sometimes Facebook lets you tag people in posts and sometimes it doesn't. It's really weird. So sometimes I have the hostess set up their Facebook event so it can be private. They can invite all of their people into that group and they add me as a co-host. And then you can create the banner that goes across the top. You can create all the fun little cute images and stuff. And I do pay for Canva. It's $14 a month. But it just opens it up to a whole lot more possibilities. Yes. But they have a free version if you don't want to step out and pay that.
Yeah, I got to where I was wanting all of the like clip art elements that the pro version offers. So I'm like, all right, just bite the bullet and pay for it. And now my entire team uses Canva for any kind of graphics that they have to create. And so we really maximize the money that we are able to, that we pay for Canva. Everybody's using it. It's great.
And the cute fonts, they have such cute fonts.
They do.
So you can match your font to your theme. Like I did a Cinco de Mayo paint party. And had like funky, it looked like a party font.
Yeah.
So.
I like that. Catherine asks, so how do you figure out what you need to paint to sell? Like the door hangers that you just decide to paint to put up for sale. Do you have any method for what you choose? Okay. What do you say, Marie?
Whatever is 2 months from now, at least 2 months from now is what I'll start painting. So we're in March, almost April. So it's almost a little too late for Easter because people buy ahead for events. So we're looking at 4th of July, Father's Day type situations. You could probably still do Mother's Day right now because that's early May. Cinco de Mayo, whatever, 2 months from now.
Yeah, and I noticed that they stopped buying Christmas after like the first week of December for me anyway. Like they weren't buying Christmas. It's like after that first week of December, people's decorations were up and they didn't need anything else. So they just stopped buying. I think also they transitioned into buying for everybody else, buying gifts, not decor. And so I had a really hard time selling any Christmas themed door hangers like during the month of December. I used to have to like switch to painting things that were giftable, things people could give to other people during the Christmas months. So keep that in mind.
I noticed that during my Christmas craft events, like the craft vendor shows, that I might sell a couple Christmas ones, but my everyday door hangers sold really well. Anything farmhouse is still super popular. And interchangeable stuff, people really like that.
Yeah, they do. And those are really good giftable things.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. They would be like, oh, I can get Susie this entire set and perfect. I have her gift all planned out.
Yeah, it feels like a high value gift because they can use it all year. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have anything they want to add to that? About how you plan out what you're going to paint and what you're going to sell?
I just try to take some generic stuff, even though I know like I've got a big craft show coming or a festival in June. So I know, there may be a few people who are looking for something kind of generic or summerish, but mostly you're going to be looking at fall stuff. But I still may take, a couple of 4th of July things because there may be somebody walking around who has yet to decorate for 4th of July and go, oh, I could put that on my door.
Yeah.
So you always have that one or two people who, they're walking around going, oh, I need something new. And, so I try to have, maybe one or two, but I usually, like Marie was saying, you try to focus a couple of months or even a season ahead sometimes, depending upon how far out you are.
Yeah. Do any of you have Etsy shops? No.
I do, but I haven't had too much luck selling door hangers. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I've had
Ange,
more luck just selling them at craft fairs.
Yeah, Ange was asking for advice if something's not selling on Etsy. I think we're in the wrong crowd for that question, Ange. You might need to go to a business coaching group or something and ask that. Yeah, I have an Etsy shop, but my Etsy shop's not selling much of anything either. I'm like, well, I know all of my customers that know me are shopping on my website, which is great. That's what I want them to do. But the only reason I even set up the Etsy shop was to bring in people who don't know me and kind of like pull them in, like, trying to catch fish in a net kind of thing. But I've only sold like maybe 1 or 2 templates over there and it's just real stagnant. And so I'm kind of like, maybe it just takes time to get going, or maybe I need to run ads. I don't know. I don't really want to do that. So I don't really know. I'm in that struggle boat too, Ange. That's what I'm trying to say. Somebody said, Tamara, I know you've said it 100 times, but can you tell me one more time what laser printer you have? I have a Thunder Laser Nova 24. Do all of you guys have lasers? I know Lauren doesn't yet. She's got it on her wish list. Okay, Sandy's got one. Marie, I'm shocked you don't have one.
I want to be able to pay cash for it. I don't want to make payments,
Smart.
but I'm like halfway there.
Yeah.
Maybe. Depending on which one I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I want to go big or go home because I don't want to get a small one and be like, oh, well, now it's time to upgrade.
Yeah.
But I'm getting close.
Yeah, I feel like the Nova 24 is a little small. I would have gone with the 35 or bigger if you can. Only because if you're trying to cut a round door hanger that's 18 inches, let's say, on that Nova 24, you're going to have to do it in 2 passes, which is not that difficult, but it is an extra step. It's one more like setup in the computer that you have to do and a button you have to press. And so it is a little easier if you can go a little bigger. Sandy, what kind do you have?
Mine is it's an HL, yeah. And it is the company that sells it is American based. It's not a true American made laser.
I don't think any of them are. I think they just put American labels on them when they get over here.
Well, there's parts of them that are actually still coming from China, even when they say American made, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean.
But that's another discussion. But mine is, the bed of it is 24 and 39, because we can put a quarter sheet in there. But I really don't cut anything bigger than like, what, 30, 36 maybe. So, we would really like to it does have a pass through. Unfortunately, our workspace is not big enough for us to utilize the pass through. So we would like to have something a little bit bigger, but sometimes your workspace dictates what you can get at the time.
For sure.
Yeah. And then Lisa, did you say you have a laser?
No,
No.
I use a jigsaw.
Do you hope to get a laser one day, or are you just like, I'll just
Yeah, I'd love to someday.
I think most
Maybe
people,
if I do enough paint parties, maybe I'll be able to afford to get one.
Yeah,
someday.
Yeah. They're awfully fun. Okay, Priscilla says, are there areas of the country that door hangers don't sell? She said, I paint them, but people say they're cute, but they're not really wanting to buy. How do you get them interested? I feel like all of us live in the South, don't we? So, I mean, the door hangers are definitely a little bit of a Southern thing. But I do have several customers out in California, up in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, that are painting and selling door hangers. And I even have people up in New York who are painting and selling door hangers. So I think it's just a matter of kind of showing your customers what they are. When I think we get in the habit of just putting our door hanger on a cute backdrop and taking a picture. Maybe you need to take pictures on doors. Hang your door hanger on an actual door, or do like Lauren does and decorate your whole front porch and put your door hanger on the front door to coordinate with all of it, and kind of like create a photo or like make pictures that kind of show what's possible with these things. Because I guess a lot of people, it's funny. I have a Canadian friend who, when he heard me say door hangers for the first time, he's like, do you mean those little things you hang on the doorknob that say do not disturb? I said, no. This is like made of wood and you hang it up. He goes, oh, like a wreath. And he kept calling it a wreath. And I said, no, not a wreath. A piece of wood, a door hanger sign. He was so confused. So I think we just need to educate people. We need to take pictures on doors in places that make sense. And something, Priscilla, that you could do, if you don't have a pretty door, you could take a picture of your door hanger on a plain backdrop, remove the background in Canva from your photo, go on Google or somewhere and find photos of different color cute porches, cute pictures of cute porches or front doors, and Photoshop your door hanger onto doors so people can get an idea of what their purpose is. Maybe even find the front of a house that has double doors and Photoshop your door hanger on the double doors so they can kind of get an idea.
Canva has doors. I do a lot of door mock-ups with Canva.
Really? I need to try that.
Yes.
That's probably safer than Google too, because as soon as I said Google, I'm like, well, some people might get mad if they find out you're using their photo and you're not supposed to, even though it's on the internet, Okay.
Canva is wonderful.
It is. I feel like it's the answer to a lot of things. We use it for so much. Marie, Tammy's asking, how much do you charge for your hanger with attachments?
45 is my base with an attachment.
Just one.
And then just one attachment. Depending on what it is. But that's my base starting out. And then it's $10 for each attachment. But if they buy all 12, they get 2 free.
Okay. Does anybody else sell door hangers with attachments? Do you have a different pricing system?
I usually do. I'm sorry, Lauren.
You're fine. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
I do welcome signs.
Okay, like the porch leaner.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you charge for those?
Right now I'm doing 50, but that's painted letters, not 3D cut letters.
Okay. And does that include one attachment on it, or is that just the word welcome?
That's one attachment, and then the other attachments are 15.
Okay. I feel like that's a really reasonable price. You could probably charge more than that. As your friend, I have to be honest with you. You're underselling yourself. Let's see. Oh, I see somebody. I don't know who this is, but they said, I have Etsy and I have over 400 sales. She said, the trick is you have to promote on Facebook. Well, if that's what it's going to take for me to be successful on Etsy, I'm not going to do that because I want to send my customers to my Shopify store because I have 100% control over that versus an Etsy shop. So I'm just using Etsy as a way to bring in cold traffic. So I don't see that as a feasible option for me. But if you don't have a website where you're selling like I do, like a Shopify store, and Etsy's your primary store, then yes, by all means, use Facebook as a way to promote. Okay. Elizabeth, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I bought a domain.
Yeah?
I just haven't set up a website yet.
Shopify is really easy. Like, it's very easy to use. And I feel like anybody who is already making a decent number of sales and needs like a website to like take their orders and keep things organized, that is a really good place to start. I would almost advise doing that over just jumping straight to Etsy, because if you already have a good customer base and they just need a place to go and shop, you would rather have more control over your store and the amount of money you're bringing in, whereas Etsy takes a huge chunk of the fees.
Yeah, and I'm wanting a landing spot for paint party signups too. Because right now it's Facebook events and I'm giving people my Venmo or my Square. And I'm like, no, I want a website that has the payment built in and it's all in one place. Yeah.
Well, let me know if you need somebody to help you set that up. I know several people who do that sort of thing.
Just go ahead and DM me.
Okay.
I've had my domain for 2 years now, and I go in and I set it. I open it up, and then like I started with Squarespace because they're like, oh, it's preset templates. You just go and you plug it in, and I go and I plug it in, and I get overwhelmed, and then I forget about it.
Yeah. Elizabeth says, what's an inexpensive laser to start out with? I feel like that's a trick question, Elizabeth. I don't know that there are any inexpensive lasers unless you're buying straight from overseas. And I do know a few people have done that. Sandy, did yours come straight from overseas?
It is from overseas, but they had a store front here in the United States. And so we didn't have to do everything with customs that you normally would have to do in bringing something from overseas. So we were able to skip a little bit of the hassle and headache. But there's several you can get directly from overseas, and yes, they are cheaper. I can't even tell you how many hours my husband spent on Google researching and looking at different lasers. You really just have to, my biggest thing is find a company that has a really good customer service rep for you, because that will become crucial as you get into operating the machine, and if you need parts for the machine.
I agree with that. That's one reason why I don't tell people just go overseas and, go to a website that sells them straight from China, is because you're going to be talking to people with a language barrier. And if you're needing help with your machine, you're going to be out of luck. You need a company that has a really good customer service support system. So definitely
Now,
check that.
I will say that the company we went with, our sales rep has been amazing. She will message us on weekends. She gets back with us promptly. As far as the customer service goes, that machine has been awesome, and the company has been awesome. Now, we have had a few hiccups with the machine. We did have to make some adjustments because it wasn't necessarily set up for our shop, so to speak. We had to have a converter for the power and all that good stuff, but we've since made some other adjustments and we've overcome that barrier.
Mhm.
But parts are the biggest thing. Parts and customer service, I think, are two crucial, and tech support are your points that you really want to research before you settle on a laser.
And did you tell us what company you bought through, Sandy? Do you mind sharing that?
It's the laser itself is called HL, and
Yeah, like
get,
YEAH, like yeah.
yes, yeah, yep.
Okay.
I always get tickled with the name. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just kind of anyway.
The first time you said it, I'm like, did I understand her right? HL,
Yep. And so people are like, what laser do you have? And I'm like, well, I always say the letters.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny. That's the one we went with. But there's others that we looked at. We didn't just jump on that one. We actually looked at a large variety within the states and also some overseas. And in the end, we just settled on that one as far as the price and being able to get it without having to go through the hassle of having it pulled in through customs.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's worked out for you, and it sounds like they're treating you right.
We have been very, very pleased with them.
Okay, we keep circling back to paint party questions, but this is another good one. Do any of you guys sell extra or offer extra blanks in your classes? Like, do you take extra, and I think that not just blanks, but do you take any extra things with you to your paint party to upsell your customers? So let's just go around. Lisa, let's start with you. Do you take anything extra to sell at paint parties?
No, but I did have a customer request at my last paint party. She requested she wanted to do another painting because we were offering two different kinds, and I was doing the Highland Cow, and one was a spring one and the other one was a St. Patrick's Day. So she wanted to do the spring one, and then she said, but I want to do the St. Patrick's Day too. Is there any way that you can just package something up? I said, I can do an art kit. So I got together an art kit, and I got all the paints and everything in little containers and brushes, and I put a cup and the instructions and everything, and then with the canvas that was already pre-drawn. And so so she was happy with that. So I charged her $15 for it.
That's great. Sandy, what about you?
I usually don't take anything extra. I will take the examples of what we're painting. If they're sometime, like for Christmas, for instance, I did ornament paint parties. And so I took my examples of the ornaments, but I usually don't take any extra. I have cards that I pass out, and I have a QR code they can scan for my Facebook and Instagram and connect that way.
Okay. Lauren, do you take anything extra to your parties?
No.
Not yet. I didn't used to take a lot, but I think back then I just wasn't thinking outside the box. I was just trying to get by day to day, making sure I had the main supplies. I didn't have the forethought to think ahead to take anything extra. But after I had been doing them a little while, like in the very last year that I was doing them, I was taking extra blanks that I just had sitting around, and inevitably I would sell some at every single party. So if you have extra blanks, definitely take them. What about you, Marie? What do you take to sell?
I take finished products.
Okay. I like that.
If I have stuff that's just been sitting around for a while, I'm like, yep, let's take this too. And I've sold finished products at my paint parties too.
I mean, it's your ideal customer right there. You might as well.
And I'm lucky enough to have I have to plug in, my phone's dying, but I've been lucky enough to have a physical teaching space now. I have a classroom.
Yeah.
And everything I paint, I just take up there and decorate. So I've sold during CPR classes.
That's awesome. Definitely getting your name out there more and more for what you're doing and kind of like building that reputation.
Yeah. My husband calls me a CP artist.
That's so smart. Oh, I love that. Sandy, your shading on those leaves and lemons is looking awesome. I can see it from here.
Thank you.
I don't know how much longer y'all need to paint to get finished with your projects, but we've been on for an hour and 10 minutes. So I figured we'd go about an hour and a half to give you guys time to finish up your door hangers. I know right now in Central Time, it's 9:45 here, but it's approaching 11 p.m. at Lauren's house. So she may pass out. She's been with a classroom full of kids all day today. So we may have to call it quits after a little bit. So I feel like Marie's last conversation was a good segue to this question. Sarah wants to know what you suggest selling a door hanger for. So selling your finished creation. Do you guys have like a standard amount you guys charge? How do you figure that out? Lisa, you want to go first?
What? I'm sorry, I didn't.
When you sell a painted door hanger, what do you price it at? How do you figure out what to price it?
I just kind of go by the supplies that I have in it, and I usually kind of look at what other people are selling theirs for. Mine usually are around 30 or 35. It just depends on how much I've got into it. You know.
What about you, Sandy?
My area is interesting in that I actually tried to increase my prices here a few years ago, and it backfired on me.
Uh-oh.
And so I had to drop them back down to beginner prices. And when I say beginner prices, I consider like 25 to be beginner price.
Yeah.
Just within the last couple of years, I've been able to bump it up, but only in like a couple of dollar increments, and still keep sales coming in. So, but I feel like right now, looking at the numbers on of my growth, I feel like I'm reaching that point where I'm almost at that place where I might end up with more work than what I can handle, and therefore I know that additional price increase will be coming in the future. So I've bumped it up a couple of times, so I'm not at 25 anymore. I have bumped up. I'm right at 30, but I feel like within hopefully the next year that I can bump it up even further to a better average. But it's just kind of odd in some areas, and I think we've had this discussion a couple of times in Painters Clubhouse, where some areas you can easily charge 35 and some areas even 55. But I have people come to me because they're like, well, I talked to this lady out in Texas and I was going to get her to do my door hanger, and she wants $55 for it plus shipping. And I'm like, okay, what door hanger is it that you want? And they'll show me, and I'm like, well, I can't do that one, but I'll do you something similar. So I'll either sketch up something, or I'll look through the templates from Painters Clubhouse and the Template Club, and I'll find something kind of close, but maybe, you know, not as detailed, or maybe a little easier for me. And so it will work into that price range a little better. So they feel like I've done them, you know, I've looked out for them as far as the money spent. But I've also managed to keep myself from, you know, just basically giving away the door hanger. So
yeah, that's tough. And sometimes I think it also depends on who you're selling to. Like you said, in your area, I wonder how many of these people are considered like friends or family or whatnot. I feel like sometimes they expect cheaper prices from us. It's almost the people who don't know us personally, who are strangers, who, you know, they respect higher prices more so than our friends and family do. A lot of times our friends and family want that discount.
And that's the nice thing about growing
Mhm.
to a point, because you get outside of that immediate circle. In the
Yeah.
beginning, it was just my friends and family. And yes, I was just starting out. And so I felt like even though I wanted to cover my time and my supplies, I also felt like I was still at that beginner level. But, here I am, basically 3 years down the road, and I feel like I'm not at beginner level anymore. And so
Mhm.
things need to be increasing. And so I started that process last year.
And when you said you got like when it backfired on you, how long did you wait before you decreased your prices again? Like how long did you try to keep
Probably,
them at the higher price?
it was between 2 and 3 months.
Oh, okay,
And so
that's longer
when
than I
when
would
you
have
hit 2 and 3 months in what you consider a time frame that should, I was getting ready to go into fall.
guessed. Mhm.
And I mean, I had 0 sales, 0. Nobody
Yeah.
was asking me to do door hangers. And so I was like, okay, I have done the cardinal no. I have jumped up way too high, and everybody's looking at this going, she's lost her mind. So you kind of have to find that balance, and
Mhm.
that can be very difficult, but you kind of have to feel the people in the area. You kind of learn that from going to some of the craft shows in your area and kind of getting an idea of what people are comfortable with stretching, we'll say, to pay.
Yeah. Okay, Lauren, what about you?
I will do like a simple design that's a circle cutout for like 30.
Mm-hmm.
But then go up towards 45 for more intricate cutout designs. Now, I get fewer circles out of a sheet of wood because I can only get 10 on a 4x8 sheet, but I can cut 10 in like 10 minutes or less.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody base the price of their door hangers on how difficult they are to cut out of the wood, but that makes a lot of sense.
Because you spend more time on it. On those cutout shapes, I'm spending more time at the jigsaw doing that and tracing it out. Whereas when I'm cutting a circle, I just stick that screw in the middle and zoop. And I mean, I can cut 10 circles out in 10 minutes, but I might spend 10 minutes tracing out a design, a cutout shape, and tracing it out and cutting it with the jigsaw and sanding all the pieces and all of that. So then I also think about when I price them, like, okay, it's a circle design and it's a simple design, then I'll charge this, but it's a circle design and it's a little bit intricate, then I'm going to charge more. And the same thing with the cutout shapes. If it's a simple design on a cutout, then I'll do a little lower. And if it's a cutout, like more intricate design, then I'll charge more.
That makes a lot of sense. What about you, Marie?
That's how I pretty much base my process too, is how difficult is it to cut out. I'm about where Lauren's at. When it comes to a circle, I'm anywhere from 30 to 35, depending on the design, which that welcome lemon is probably one of my biggest sellers.
Yeah.
If I put a bow on it, it's 35 to 40. If I put greenery on it with the bow, then we're at 45 to 50.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing a 3D attachment or an embellishment, I might add on $3 to $5 depending on the size and the difficulty.
Yeah. That's really helpful. I'm sure this is helping a lot of these people who are thinking about it in the comments. I saw somebody earlier even ask, like, what would you have charged for the Lola door hanger? And that one has a ton of detail. So
it does.
You definitely need to keep that taking that into account when you're pricing it.
Oh, she's 40 to 45 to 50 easily.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at her, she's over there on my wall. And I'm like, if I put a bow and greenery on her, she's a $45 to $50 seller.
You also have to think, what if I get 10 more orders for these?
Right.
You're going to have to put that level of detail into all 10.
Yep. That's where I get myself in a lot of trouble too. I'll sit around and I'll get too detailed on stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm going to bring it back for my craft fairs, especially if I'm mass producing something. I try to keep it as simple as possible for my sanity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Joni says, at a paint party, do you prepare the template on the door hanger, or do the guests do that part, and do they keep the template? I'm going to be willing to bet that all of them trace the design on the wood before the party and the template stays at home, or at least stays in your craft bag as an emergency if you need it. But yeah, you want to have all the work you could possibly have done to that thing before you get to the party, because when you get to the party, you're going to have anywhere from 8 to 15 people asking you questions, and you don't need to try to be explaining to them how to trace the template on the door hanger. If you can skip that step and have it done for them before the party, it's going to save your sanity.
The only thing I might have with me is if there's lettering in case someone accidentally gets a little too heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do trace lettering in Sharpie because usually that's going to show through the paint. Even the darkest blues, you can usually see Sharpie through. But just in case, I'll have my lettering there to trace it.
Speaking of lettering, Rhonda says, Sandy, did you freehand that welcome on that lemon door hanger?
No, I wish I was that good. It was etched.
Okay, it was etched on the door hanger, but that's also part of that template. So if you end up getting that lemon welcome design, that lettering is on it. So you can just trace it yourself and pretty much draw it in with a paint pen. And then somebody's follow-up question to that was, how much would Sandy charge for that lemon sign? I would do $45 in my area is what they said.
That was actually the first door hanger I ever sold.
What'd you sell it for, Lisa?
Oh, cool.
I think 30. I think it was 30. Because back then I was kind of afraid to charge it.
Yeah. I think we're all that way starting out. Do you know what you'll sell that one for, Sandy?
This one, since I've started, Lauren and Marie talking about depending on the detail and stuff, I have started changing some of the prices on some of mine depending upon how much detail. And so this one, with a lot of shading to it, I would start it at 35, but more than likely I would end up having to do a sale on it just because of the way things are in my area.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I wish I could say that every area you can just use the price that, your neighbors in other states use, but some places you'll end up with inventory sitting and then you'll end up having to do a sale and get rid of it for a cheaper price. So I probably still err on the lower side because I don't want to get stuck with a ton of door hangers.
Yeah. We need to get you some out of town followers. Everybody go follow all of these ladies. We'll have to say y'all's business names again at the end so everybody can go follow y'all. Or maybe we can have you guys comment or tag your business name in the comments, because sometimes that's easier to track down than it is to like search it up. So if y'all want to put that in the comments before the end of the video, that way people can find y'all. Okay, Lauren, this is a question for you. Lynn wants to know how you get that perfect circle with the jigsaw. Didn't you teach this in the Clubhouse or maybe post a video doing it or something?
I did post a video of it. So I have a circle cutting guide that attaches to a router. So think like old school where you put your paper clip in the middle and you hold it down with a pen and then you like spin it around. Mm-hmm. There's like a screw that goes in the middle and then my router sits on the outside and I just spin it around.
And where did you buy such a tool?
They have them on Amazon, but I was too impatient to wait for shipping. And so I went to Lowe's.
You needed those rounds today.
I needed them right then.
Yeah. And they want to know, do you have a jigsaw? If you do, what's the easiest way to cut the circles out with? But she said she used a router, right, Lauren? Router.
I do use a router for that and then a jigsaw for the other shapes.
Yeah. Lisa, do you primarily just use the jigsaw or do you use a router?
Yes.
Okay. Jigsaw was always my go-to. I felt most comfortable with that. Is that what you use, Marie?
I use a jigsaw and a scroll saw.
Okay.
So
how do you decide which one you're going to use on certain projects?
Jigsaw's my big guy. So anything that's just big, bold, straight lines, that's my go-to. But if I have something that has intricate in and outs and tight little, like if I'm doing attachments, I feel like those are too small for a jigsaw. I will lose a finger. So I like the scroll saw control for doing, because some of my attachments are 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
My jigsaw is bigger than that.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Adrienne, this is a good question. I don't know if I've ever been asked this either. Somebody said, do you teach shading at your parties and those kinds of things, or do you just do basic paint? She said, I find that I have two extremes of painters, ones that are super slow and ones that don't understand and those that want more. Adrienne, those are going to be at every party. But I can answer what I used to do. I would pretty much, I never even started doing shading until I quit doing paint parties and found more time to paint for myself. I stuck to painting basic shapes and adding patterns to basic shapes. So it was very whimsical and simple. I carried stencils with me to every party. So if somebody wanted chevron or leopard print on something, I had a stencil for it. And so anything like that that can just be super simple, you could do. And I feel like if you have people who want those more difficult techniques, you could even like set up a special class for that. That's like a level 2 class and just have people come to that kind of class. Do the rest of you do that, or do you have anything different you do? No, here comes Charlie.
I stick to simple.
I've
Yes,
done a few
simple.
private lessons for people who want more artsy type of paintings. So a one-on-one, or if there's a couple of people who want to learn more in detail about fancier paint techniques, I've done small group classes for that. I do charge more.
Simple.
I don't mean to change the subject, but Charlie just came in here covered in glitter. Stand up here and show them. She has glitter on her lips. She has glitter on her forehead. I don't think they can see the amount of glitter on you, but she's turn your head so they can see the sparkles. It's in her nose. What have you been making? Show them what you've been making. The biggest bag of sparkly slime you've ever seen.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, you need to go take a bath is what you need to do.
I know.
Oh, me. That's what happens when mom's on live and she's unattended. She's in her bedroom mixing an entire slime kit together. I think it was supposed to be individual little pots of slime, and now it's a giant bag of slime. Do any of you guys do online paint parties? Whoops.
I have.
How do I get us back to where we were? Like, there's so many buttons. I'm like clicking and trying to figure out. Okay, that's sort of what we were.
I want to.
There we go. You want to? It may just be a matter of like finding the right people for it. You know, like we were talking about a minute ago, people who want to learn different techniques than what you're able to teach, like in a in-person class, maybe, or.
Oh, that would be perfect for online.
You know, like if somebody wanted a shading lesson on how to shade the perfect pumpkin door hanger or something, maybe you could have a special online class. Yeah.
I've done a couple of online parties.
Okay. How did those work out?
They were okay. I used Zoom. Unfortunately, most of the ones decided they didn't want to be seen, so it was mostly me. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe next time we should just do Facebook.
I'm cracking up at the comments about Charlie. Sorry. I see one more question, and then I think we're going to wrap it up. So Sarah was asking for a little more information from Marie on adding greenery and a bow to your door hanger. I think we actually have a tutorial in the Clubhouse too for how to add greenery and a bow to a door hanger, but I'm not even sure if that's something you can explain without showing them. They were just asking, like, what do you mean when you say that? Do you have a visual example for us? I'm gonna
So I buy these in the wedding section at Hobby Lobby. They're regular $1.99, but the wedding stuff goes on sale like every other week, so you can get it for 50% off. But this is the most basic or the most common form that I do, and it works for every door hanger I've ever put it on. But I just take jute and I tie it together. And then I make sure that I have a jute string on this side and this side. That way I can have somewhere to staple it. And I use the glue that you use, Tamara. Is it
I'm
fast
surprised
stick?
you don't use zip ties.
No.
That
I just
would be
use what I
easier, I would
got.
think, than jute, but
It probably would, but I accidentally ordered the wrong size jute string.
oh,
Like,
gotcha.
yeah, so I started using this.
Is it like
And
two ply or
yeah, it's
something? Yeah,
super
I've gotten that
thin.
before and it's really thin. It's kind of annoying.
Yep, so I just use it to tie my little things together. I use the stick fast to hold it in place and then staple it. And then my bow, I have a bow somewhere in one of these
Fast.
drawers.
That's that glue you were talking about. It's like a super glue, sort of.
Yes, I love that stuff.
It is good stuff. And mine has disappeared. I think Charlie borrowed it to do a project and it's gone. And now I'm kind of worried about where it's at because that stuff gets on everything.
Charlie and Emma are very much alike. I would be very concerned where that is.
I know. She had a friend over a couple weekends ago and they were crafting in her bedroom. And I found out that my stick fast was missing. So now I've got to find it. It's probably in the room.
I have a bow somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
Okay.
It
Just
goes right
seeing the
there.
green is really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just make sure that I staple really close to each side,
Yeah.
and that helps that stick fast cure.
Sarah, if you end up joining the Painters Clubhouse, go and find the tutorial for the door hanger that says Our Nest. I think it's under like the year-round tutorials, and there is a tutorial in there for how to add greenery in a bow, I believe, as well. All right. Well, I have really enjoyed hanging out with you ladies tonight and just chatting. I'm like, we need to do this more often. It's just so fun to like sit and talk and hear everybody and just kind of answer all these questions from all of our viewers. So thank you all for the questions. And if anybody is interested in the Painters Clubhouse, like I said, our bonus goes away tonight at midnight. You can get this Summer in a Jar door hanger tutorial if you sign up before midnight. And all of our current members just got this in their library this afternoon. So I want to go around the table one more time, and I want each of you to kind of like give final words on what advice you would have for somebody sitting on the fence for Painters Clubhouse, or something like why you think they should join. So, Lisa, you want to start us off?
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. So what was
okay? Oh, I was just asking if you had any final words for somebody who might be sitting on the fence and ready to join and thinking about joining Painters Clubhouse.
You won't regret it, because there's so much. It's well worth the money spent, because there's just a world of information and help, and you're going to just meet the nicest ladies that you're ever going to. You're really going to feel like they're your sisters. Seriously.
I couldn't agree more. I feel so like close to so many of you guys, especially those of you that I've met in person already. And like, you know, I don't know, it just deepens the connection when I get to see you guys at Southern Adornments Live, and it feels like family. Like you guys will always mean the world to me. Okay, Sandy, what would you have to say?
Well, I joined fall will be 3 years ago, and when I starting out, you have your basic, just keep it in the lines. And there's so many techniques and so many interesting ways. I know the first time I saw Tamara do anything with a baby wipe, I was like, really? A baby wipe?
Yep.
So there's so many interesting things. It's just like with the Lola, you said buy a sponge, and I didn't even blink. I was like, okay. So
I don't know what she's going to use it for, but I trust her.
There you go.
I love
Trust
it.
the process. Trust the process. But the closeness, the family, the Zoom parties are a lot of fun. You get to meet people from states away and talk to them and paint with them and just kind of share that common interest. And I don't regret it, not a day.
Oh, thank you. Lauren, what would you have to say after 1 year in the clubhouse?
Well, and you've
Should have done
talked
it
a little
sooner.
bit. Yeah, I really should have. And you know what's funny is that we've had conversations in years past about like, I wonder if I should join Painters Clubhouse. Like, I don't know if you ever remember this. We were at Venture River the year before.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know, school's getting ready to start back. And it was like, and then last year when I finally broke down and did it, you've talked about this on a couple lives this week, that I said, you know what, summer break is coming up. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give myself summer. And I gave myself summer and I've never looked back.
Yeah. And it makes me sad that I didn't push you a little harder to do it sooner. But I think I was worried about how busy you are. And I didn't want to feel like that pushy friend that's like, join my thing, but I guess I didn't realize how much you needed the camaraderie and the connection to crafting and all of that. And I also didn't realize how close it was going to bring me and you once again. So if I had known all of that, I surely would have pushed you a whole lot sooner.
Well, and I've always watched, I mean, gosh, I remember, I was there watching when you were on the dining room table and it was the time lapse videos. And before you were even going live, it was just the time lapse stuff. But I mean, even before that, like, I don't know, I didn't realize what I was missing out on. I lost that piece of me when I came back home because I didn't have the same circle here.
You were missing a crafting community that you had here. Okay. I want to read a comment real quick that popped up while we were talking about all this. And I can't see her name, but I'm guessing it's Danielle, since Megan said, that's awesome, Danielle. But Megan says, do it. She said, we are still learning the ins and outs on Page. Just signed up. My daughter wanted a job, but I said, stick with something she loves. It's artsy stuff. So I saw this and I joined Painters Clubhouse, and she bought the herd with her own money from mowing jobs. And she said, do it and have fun. Can't wait to be able to dig into PC with her. I love that you're doing this with your daughter, who's probably a teenager if she's mowing yards and stuff. So that's awesome. And just like this feels like this whole conversation has come full circle, because Marie and I were talking at the very beginning of this about how when we were kids, nobody encouraged us to really dive into our art and make a business out of it. And so I love that you are starting that with her and encouraging her in that way. So that's amazing. All right, Marie, what final words do you have for everybody?
Through Painters Clubhouse, I've kind of found myself. Before I was the mom, the wife, the cook, the cleaner. I was something to everybody else, but I had no identity of my own. So now I'm the CP artist. I'm the artsy person. And even aside from making money, it gave me sanity again. Like we've talked about this before, like I had a hard time. Like, I don't know, I guess I was overwhelmed with being the mom. I lost who I was as a person, and it just gave me a sense of purpose, a sense of being. And through the Painters Clubhouse, I have made some of my best friends.
It's like we found our people.
Yeah.
Like
there's 5 people I know from the Painters Clubhouse. If I had an issue right at this second, I could call them.
Yeah, I agree. Jackie in the comments said, yes, Marie nailed how I feel. I joined Painters Clubhouse for me. I'm so glad you did that for yourself, Jackie. A lot of us need this for ourselves. We're always giving to everybody else in our families, and we're not keeping anything for ourselves or doing anything for ourselves. And so if at the very least, if you enjoy crafting, you need to pour into that, fill your cup up with it. It's going to pay you back in spades in ways that you never thought it could pay you back. Christy Rayner said, I found my people. We love you, Christy.
Christy's one of my people.
Yeah, I feel like we needed Christy on this live tonight with us, because she might have been, she was so quiet during my member interview I did with her earlier today. I'm like, where's the Christy that I know?
Christy Rayner was quiet.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
A wet blanket on her excitement. She was so quiet. She said, I'm nervous on camera. She said, in person, I'm very outgoing.
She is so outgoing. I was very surprised by that too, because she was like the life of the party in Dallas.
That's exactly what I said. I said, you were the
going to meet everybody.
Yep. We got to figure out how to get that on camera for her, because it would be like unlocking Pandora's box on Painters Clubhouse if we could figure out how to get Christy out of her shell on camera. Oh man. Well, it is late, and I know a lot of you guys are probably about ready for bed. So we're going to wrap this up, but I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. And I want to say a big thank you for y'all dedicating this almost hour and 40 minutes here with me tonight. And y'all are such a treasure. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, y'all. If you haven't joined Painters Clubhouse yet and you are waiting for something, I don't know what that something is, because after this past week of painting Lola last week in the workshop and this week painting all the Sun Beach door hangers, there's nothing else that I really can say to convince you to come and join our community. And if you didn't hear it from these ladies, I'm not sure exactly what you're waiting to hear, because it's life-changing. These ladies have said it. It has given them something back that they didn't know exactly what was missing. It is therapeutic. It is fulfilling. It is helping with financial need for a lot of these ladies, like Marie, who was talking about bringing her husband home from being on the road. There are so many ways this can help. If nothing else, it's a friendship. Like Debbie just said, just this friendship makes me want to join. It's exactly like this in the Painters Clubhouse, especially if you come to any of our live events like the one we're doing in Dallas this fall. You will make fast friends with some of these ladies, and you won't want to ever let them go. We have had such an awesome week. I know you are going to miss me after, because somebody said you've been live like every day for almost the past 2 weeks. I'm going to miss you. I'll be live again on Tuesday as scheduled for our live painting together. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm ready to start diving in the Painters Clubhouse and pouring into them a little bit more. So you may not see me out here on the page as much, but I will be in the Clubhouse checking on all of our newbies and welcoming them in. So we hope to see you in there. If you haven't done it yet, go to paintersclubhouse.com and join, and you will get this bonus if you join by midnight tonight. There's a couple hours left, y'all. It is 10:14 p.m. where I'm at, and you still got time. Bye, y'all.